Hey, what's going on, everybody? Good morning. Today is Tuesday, November 20th, 2018. Welcome. This is First Cup. My name's Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. Good times. So, a couple things. First, if you are not aware, we do this show every weekday, Monday through Friday, here on YouTube. But we also have other stuff going on. We also have a podcast that we release Mondays and Thursdays. And on Mondays, we interview guests. And on Thursdays, sometimes I'll have a bit of a rant or exploring a topic. Sometimes it'll be, like a deep dive into a person or a topic from the history of martial arts. And it's good stuff. People enjoy it. You should check it out. whistlekickmartialartsradio.com. And we're going to talk about the podcast today, some of the things that I've learned. But one thing to know, our holiday promotions start tomorrow. So if you are not on our newsletter list, sign up. You can go to that podcast site, whistlekickmartialartsradio.com, sign up for the newsletter there. You can go to whistlekick.com, you can sign up for it there. Those are the two places. You should sign up for it because we're going to start sending out email announcements tomorrow about all the great deals that we've got going. And no, they're not 5% off and 10% off and crap like that. No, these are real discounts. And yeah, in fact, a good number of people last year that purchased on multiple days because of the types of discounts that we offer. So enough sales promotional stuff. Let's talk today. So when I started the podcast in early 2015, it wasn't supposed to be for me. The podcast was actually supposed to be a friend of mine hosting it. I've always seen my role in Whistlekick as coordinating things, not being the face or the front of anything. I know, it sounds weird coming from a guy who's doing a daily vlog. But that wasn't the goal. And then, lo and behold, the guy that was supposed to host the show got sick. And he wasn't going to be able to do it. He got really sick. He almost died. And then we were left with a great idea and nobody to implement it. So I did it. Started reaching out to the people that I knew, said, hey, I'm doing this podcast. Can you help me out? And they all said yes. And if you go back, you listen to those early days when I'm recording with a $25 microphone, really a headset, it was a Logitech headset. I was following this really pretty strict script of questions. I had no idea how to interview people. And despite all that, people listened. And more people came on the show. And people reached out and asked to be on the show. And the show grew. And here we are, episode 344, 6, released yesterday. And now, on any given day, a lot of people listen. And a lot of people reach out and want to be on the show. And the show has been downloaded in nearly every country on the planet. We've got a couple of stragglers, weird places. Honestly, it's like 7 or 8 countries that it hasn't been downloaded. But we are routinely downloaded in all of the English-speaking countries and then even quite a few of the non-English-speaking countries. And that's just amazing. It's amazing to think that this tiny little thing that we started has grown to that point. And I think that there's a parallel there with martial arts. When you start out, you don't really know what you're doing, so you follow a pretty strict regimen of the techniques that you're given. When you start sparring, you're quite often using the combinations that were given to you in basics, whether they work or not. But as you get better, you start to experiment, you start to take the training wheels off, and that's where a lot of the progress really comes. Because you learn what works and what doesn't. And that's one of the things that's happened a lot with martial arts radio, is that I've found things that work and things that don't. Here's a great example. So I live on the East Coast of the US. One of the things that is challenging is time zone math. Now, not for me, but it can be challenging for quite a few others. And, for example, people on the West Coast tend to assume that anytime they're scheduling with someone, that person's on the West Coast. And then I had trouble scheduling with people in the UK or in Australia. So here's what we do. I now send out an invite to a calendar appointment on my personal calendar. And as long as they're using a calendar system like Google Calendar, which is what I use, then all the time zone math is taken care of. I also send out a form beforehand with the questions and what to expect and giving people some guidance on how we run the show. For the most part, I won't take a guest unless they've listened to a couple shows. Because we want people to know how we do this so it can be the best show it can be. There's a pretty big difference in my interview style now versus 2015. Now, yeah, I have the questions that I may ask, but we don't have to get to them. We don't have to ask them in order. My goal is to keep the guest talking. I just kind of shepherd them along and ask little questions here and there, try to put myself in the position of the audience. What would they want to hear? What would they want to ask? And that's been fun, and it's worked well. And I owe that to a gentleman who's been on the show since David Hughes. He came on, and we just started talking. Now, I run the recording from the moment we start talking, but traditionally we would talk for a while and then start the show, in a sense. But he just started talking, and we had great conversation. And it was 5 or 10 minutes in, I realized, hey, it would be silly to stop and start over again. So let's just go. And I got a lot of great feedback on that. Sometimes it's worthwhile to experiment, to throw out the script, to just dive in with both feet and see what happens. Maybe it's not better in every way, but maybe there's enough better from it that you learn something. You make a dramatic shift in your day-to-day. That's why when I suggest people do forms, try it in every single way you can imagine. We've done episodes on that. In fact, there is an episode, it's like top 10 ways to practice forms. Practice it fast, practice it slow, practice it backwards, practice it mirrored, and probably 6 others. And by taking those experimentations, you find out the results, right? It's kind of a scientific approach. Let's try this thing and see what happens. And take the results and roll them back in, and now you know something more, something different. And knowledge is good. I've even found that a couple of the episodes that I absolutely hated, the ones that I didn't even want to talk to that person because they were boring to me, the numbers didn't support that. Plenty of the listeners enjoyed the episodes. In fact, the first time I had one that I thought this is going to be a disaster was one of our best episodes ever. I may be the target, the person that I sought out to make the podcast for, somebody roughly my age and with my passion for martial arts, etc. But I'm not the only person. I'm not the only type of martial artist. I'm not the only avatar. There, that's the word we're looking for. I'm not the only avatar that warrants consideration. And the numbers show that. So now when I'm talking to someone and I think, this person's boring. I just do my best, try to get through it. I always get through it. And I know that even though some people out there may not like it, because some people out there don't like any of the episodes or every episode, there are going to be people out there who not only enjoy it, but needed to hear what that person had to say. So at the end of the day, what keeps me going with the podcast is that it's a service. It's a service to Whistlekick. It's a service to myself. It's a service to the guests and the listeners. That's why it's free. That's why we don't take advertising. That's why our promotional time on the show is so minimal, because I want to make sure that it is as approachable as it can be for people. Now, what kind of lessons can you take from that? I guess just recognize that everybody resonates with different things. You know, you might give a presentation at work and 9 out of 10 people may love it, but one person may hate it, and vice versa. You might have one person who loves it and 9 people hate it. But what if that one person is the best representation of who that presentation's really meant to reach? Sometimes the majority doesn't rule, or shouldn't. All right. More coffee. Go get on the newsletter list. Do it. Do it now. Even if you're listening to this a couple days later. Even if you're listening to it a year later. Because we do run promotions. It's the majority of what we send those newsletters out for. New products, promotions, and we have some limited edition stuff that's only going to be available through Friday, Black Friday, midnight. We brought back a design with a slight modification that a bunch of you were asking for. It's awesome. You're going to love it. Check it out. It's actually up on the store right now. And the best day to buy that special design is going to be Thursday. Okay. Thanksgiving Day. All right. Take care. Have a great day. I will see you back here tomorrow. Boom! For First Cup. Peace. Oh, hold on. Peace. There we go.